Hi there, this is Last Day's Messenger D. I wanted to get back to you about the church ages, as promised. I started with the last church, which is the age that we're in, with the church that is called Laodicea. So I'd like to read what I have for notes. This is all taken from the book that I started reading, and I haven't finished because it's got just so much stuff. There's two books here that I want to recommend. First one is Armageddon Now, The End of the World, A to Z, from Jim Willis and Barbara Willis. Copyright, I believe, is 2006. Excellent source of information. Just like the book promises, everything from A to Z. It's got so much stuff that you could ever want to find out about. All different categories. I have a note, my index card here, because this is what I've taken out from the book. Let's start with the chapter 2 in the book of Revelation talks about the angel of the Church of Ephesus. This is the time period. Okay, so I hope you're all doing well out there. It's just that I don't have a lot of time. It takes forever for on my Android phone to download a video, and I want to hurry up and get this downloaded. So I should say uploaded. Okay, so Revelation 2, 1 through 7. Ephesus, the first 100 years, okay? It relates to Matthew 13, 1 through 23, talking about the parable of the sower in the first century, okay, of church history. We're talking about church ages, okay? There was a lot of hard work, basically, so this is a synopsis. There was a lot of hard work, but they forgot their first love. They fell by the wayside, okay? So take a note with the parable of the sower, how that comes into play, and this is why Ephesus did not get commended. He doesn't have a lot of good things to say about Ephesus. I mean, Jesus just does not. But this is the second church age, from the year 100 to the year 300 CE, Common Era. This church was commended. I highlighted that so you'll know, and it corresponds to Matthew 13, 24 through 30. This is the tares among the wheat. We have been living among the tares. We have been walking around, I should say, we have been walking in Jesus, knowing that the tares are all amongst us, okay? But what Jesus is going to do at the end, the harvest, is he bundles up the tares and burns them, and then he takes the wheat into his barn. That's the tares among the wheat. But this right here, it was commended because they endured persecution. There were some Christians who claimed that they were Christians, but they actually weren't. A few, not too many. There were some, but they were highly commended because they went through persecution. Now this is Pergamum, and the years are 300 to 600 Common Era. Corresponds to Matthew 13, 31, 32. This is the parable of the mustard seed in Matthew 13. This was the time when Christianity became the state church of Rome, and this is when Constantine converted. Many followed suit. Professional clergy developed. This, as you know, the mustard seed parable is saying that, if you recall, it's the smallest of all the trees. The seed grows into this huge, humongous, the largest tree. But God is saying, watch out lest you be corrupted by the world that has embraced you. Okay? Next, we have Revelation 2, 18 through 29, Thyatira. Some people say Thyatira. I've been saying Thyatira. 600 to 1500 Common Era. This relates to Matthew 13, 33 through 35, the leaven in the loaf. Now, I have to read this, so I'm going to pull it away a little bit so I can read. From the fall of Rome until the time of the Protestant Reformation, the evangelicals, the church went through good times and bad. These were called, as we all know, the Dark Ages, holding the broken Roman Empire together. Hence the parable leaven in the loaf. According to church scholars, the church was the leaven, or yeast, to rise the Western civilization, and it grew during the dark times. Also, it did see bloody crusades, and there was internal corruption. Some historians even say this refers to the Protestant Reformation that split the church into the different factions. So both Protestants and Catholics remain believing that quote that Jesus said, "Hold fast to what you have until I come." Okay, so that's that. Continuing on, this is the Church of Sardis, Revelation 3, 1 through 6, the Protestant Reformation. This lasted until 1700 CE, and this corresponds to Matthew 13:44. This is a parable of the hidden treasures. So we're comparing the church ages that took place within the beginning of the book of Revelation, chapter 2, chapter 3, and it's fascinating because they're all corresponding with the book of Revelation in chapter 2 and chapter 3 corresponds to the parables given in Matthew 13, which I never knew. So that's a little bit of a hidden treasure for me as well. So here he says, Matthew 13 describes a man finding treasure that was hidden in a field. Yeshua, or some people call him Jesus, I say both, tells the church, "You have the reputation of being alive, but you're dead. Wake up." Jesus has also said this to this church group. Okay, this is the Church of Sardis. He's saying, wake up. And then the next time reference, this one is my favorite. Of course, I think it's everyone's favorite. Oh, wait a second, I didn't finish. So he said about Sardis, "You have a few people in Sardis who have not soiled their clothes, and they are worthy. They will walk with me." So there were a few, but all in all, Sardis was not commended. It was probably given like maybe a C rating or something like that. So this is the best one right here. The Church of Philadelphia, which we are supposed to emulate. Sorry, my handwriting is not good and I scribbled this. Revelation 3, 7 through 13, and the time frame period, take note here for the Church of Philadelphia, 1700 to the 1950s. So it stopped at around that time period. It was in full force, 1700s to 1950s. It corresponds to Matthew 13, 45, 46. It's the pearl of great price. The glory years of the Protestant church in the West, especially America. There was the Salvation Army that was born. YMCAs were born. Billy Graham became very popular. Churches moved to suburbs and Sunday school began. Jesus is pleased with them and says, "I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." This was the promise given to this church of Philadelphia, as you well know. And then I did already tell you about Laodicea. Okay, so, and we finished. Okay, good. So that is basically all the church ages. And the best one, like I mentioned, was the Church of Philadelphia. We can all emulate this church, I think, always by citing your sins, reciting your sins, Um, that is primarily, I would say, that is primarily one of the biggest things is always repenting, making it something that you always get in the habit of doing. Some people do, and others I've when I talk to other people, they've told me no, they don't make it a point to do this. So this is how it's done. This is where he says, I know your works. I have set before you an open door no man can shut. For you have a little strength, and have kept my word, and have not denied my name. I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I'll make them to come and worship before your feet, to know that I have loved you. Because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of temptation. I looked up that word in the concordance, and it also means trial. I will keep you from the hour of trial, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. And quite frankly, I think we're in that time period right now. So that's something to think about with what's going on in the world. It does relate to everywhere in the world. So I read this over and over again. I really love this. The book of the book of Revelation, and this particular commendation that he gives to the Church of Philadelphia. So I'm looking at the clock, and it's almost at 12 minutes here. So I'm going to run. And thank you so much, and have a blessed night. Thank you.